evening, everybody, and welcome to live coverage of the penultimate round of the year for the Club 100 and BUKC iRacing Championship. Great to have you here on the DDMM YouTube channel. My name is Andrew Mather. Alongside me in the virtual comms box, as ever, is Howard Mitchell. Howard, great to have racing here at Interlagos, a classic circuit to have. Not quite a season finale, but almost a season finale. And I think that's about correct going into tonight's racing.
Absolutely, mate. It's hello everybody, I should say, and thank you very much for joining us for another round of our Club 100 iRacing Championship. And yeah, absolutely, the wonderful Interlagos circuit, mate. The well, do you know what? I always say the quintessential race towards the end of the season. I actually am old and actually remember it being round 3 of the championship. Sort of time.
I can remember it being round 2.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Anyway, old F1 references aside, we're not even in single seaters today. It's a fantastic place to come towards the end of the season. I want to say it's the first time that we've done our GT3s here in this championship. Correct. He says, yes, it is. So, going to be brilliant to see how one of the, I think, best cars that we run in the championship, and it's totally open as well. You know, people can choose the different cars in the GT3 class and running them around Interlagos. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Really looking forward to it.
C2 is the main focus of tonight. If you missed the last round, the C1 championship for experienced drivers was sealed up by Josh Ladd, who may or may not be here tonight because he had a lot of uni work. But C2 is the main focus. Howard, take us through the scores on the doors.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're showing the best 9 results because that's what will matter. Those who follow Club 100, anything, frankly, will be familiar with the importance of drop scores. And it is the best 9 that count in this series. So, as Andrew says, Class 1 is wrapped up. Of course, everyone's fighting over the last few bits and pieces there. But it is in Class 2 where we find a Mr. Christopher Powell leading the way in that one. And let's be clear, there has to be a certain set of circumstances for him to win it tonight. He would have to win in Class 2. He'd have to have a good night of it, and others around him to have maybe not quite such a good night in order for him to take the standings. We'll try and keep everyone updated on that, but yeah, he needs some of his championship rivals, the likes of Andrew Dawson, the likes of Matt Hale, Murray Adams, and Matthew Whitefoot to have a bit of a dodgy evening out there in order to take it.
So in summary, it could be decided tonight, but it probably won't. It probably will go to the last round at Suzuka. Howard, lone qualifying has begun, so I'll let you get to the buttons to show us the cars out there on circuit. Public announcement: Trading Paints has gone on strike, so apologies, folks. I know a number of the drivers have got some great liveries on at their end of affairs, but here at DDMM HQ, not Trading Paints, so we're just running with the stock liveries or the generic liveries that drivers have under their iRacing identities. It means we've got a lot of default BMWs running around out there. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, if you know why it keeps spinning on Trading Paints and saying waiting for internet connection, let me know in the chat. Any tips would be well appreciated. Rather
interestingly, though, DDMM Outpost can still see the liveries, so I'll just have to describe them brilliantly, such as Ian Sumner, who I want you all to imagine a really good martini livery, is out now preparing for his lap.
So if you're new,
go for it.
So if you're new to this lone qualifying and wondering what on earth's going on now as we get to the end of the season, these qualifying sessions, think of all the drivers as in their own pocket universe qualifying session. They are all doing their qualifyings at the same time, but they are the only car on track in their respective, as I say, little pocket server. basically means we get rid of the old traffic problem. Nobody can complain about, oh, I had understeer off this person or that person blocked me. It's all down to their own driver skill around this classic circuit just outside Sao Paulo. On board now with Cameron Watson. Coming to the end of the outlap for Cameron Watson. Up over the rise. Hello to Case of Water, by the way. He's recently subscribed here on the DDMM YouTube channel. If you're enjoying the content and you don't mind doing so, please do click that subscribe button. At least at my end, Howard, I actually, of the generic liveries, I quite like this one. It's got a bit of sky blue and red in there. What does he look like at your end?
It's a Coca-Cola livery at my end. It's quite good. I like it. As we head down to the Descida de Lago, this could be an interesting one, folks. But yeah, Watson with some good pace in the first set. I'm really sorry, by the way, if I describe anyone's liveries tonight, by the way. I'm doing it at the same time as controlling cameras. As I say that, Chris Hansen goes fastest with a 132. And this one I can describe to you because we're very indebted to Simply Catnip for their support of the series, which I promise it's there. The livery is there. It says Simply Catnip. It's glorious.
Right. The logo is in the top right corner. Oh, it was. It's now changed to BUKZ. But no, thank you to Simply Catnip for their continued support, and G3 Pro and Club 100. The winners of C1 and C2 getting a free drive for 2023 Club 100 endurance race. The time's coming in, Howard. How are they looking?
Indeed, as you say that, mate. Sam Sanders takes himself up to pole. A 131.789 in his Porsche 911. So it's a good time there for Sam Sanders in his Liquimoly sponsored Porsche. You'll just have to imagine that one, folks.
I've really broken it now. It's now we saw this happen at Daytona 24 Hours. We somehow now have cars. I saw a Ferrari livery on a Porsche, but carry on.
Okay. Well, Steve Hicks here in a Ferrari has just.
He's got half a Porsche livery sprayed on his Italian stallion, but never mind.
He's careless. Either way, his 488 Evo has just. He didn't complete the lap. He got a 1X, so he has yet to complete a lap. So too, that is also the case, I should say, for Matt Hale. Who is one of our higher placed drivers within Class 2, Andrew. So there's some drivers who just need to be careful on their second qualifying lap. Here is Matt Hale in the Simply Catnip car. In fact, maybe I've been harsh on him. I don't actually know if he maybe held in the pits a little while. Yes, he has, you know. I think he hadn't set a lap time because he hadn't finished his outlap yet. So we'll wait to see that as Charlie Summers comes in with sixth fastest time.
Still some positions in the championship to be decided within C1. Did Cameron Watson just lag to the pits there possibly?
Oh, so Cameron Watson has done his. He's done a single lap and then gone back to the pits. So he felt it was good enough. He put the lightest fuel perhaps in and has gone for it. Quentin Durad taking to the circuit, as is Murray Adams. A few drivers, Andrew, just biding their time before coming out onto the track.
Maybe so, just checking out the track conditions. So, livery watch, I want to say... Is Tom Kemping? Yes, Tom Kemping is racing tonight. Quinton Durad has stolen Tom Kemping's standard livery because we've got Ferrari graphics and Ferrari texture shapes with the Belgian flag all over Quinton's Porsche.
Well, now there I must correct you. I'll be honest, mate. For me, he's running his a lovely Velox Sim Sport livery. in turquoise and black. There's some purple in there as well. It's a thing of beauty. Not that Tom Kemping's is. Do you know what? I've just cut across the stream. That actually looks quite cool.
It does. It did.
Anyway.
I've changed it now. I don't know what's going on.
Quentin Durand doesn't. He's not worrying about any of this though. He's trying to come around to begin his flying lap. I'm rather glad that the drivers have waited here. It's going to allow us to stretch out the coverage of quali a bit more, because often we're just sat waiting for a little while after everyone's done it. We're going to go roll bar here, so wait for a bit of pivoting of the camera as we go down through some of these corners. The long turn 3 here, the outer wall of which became rather infamous during, I want to say, well, I know, the 2003 Brazilian Grand Prix.
Yes.
We're going for all the older references here, ladies and gentlemen. No late 90s F1 cars to trip over there. Interlagos. Ferradura's next. A lot of commitment there. I'm sure Timo Glock has some photo. Was it Timo Glock? Who had the dispute there? No, it was Trulian Sutil, was it? Who had a dispute and exchanged photographs at the next press conference. And then, no, my Timo Glock reference is further around the lap, Howard, I'll tell you that much. So we come out of the hairpin and we come to a standing stop, which wasn't the plan at all, Durand. But never mind. That was most of a lap of Interlagos.
There we go. He's not. I say he's not actually done a full lap yet, so I'm not quite sure what was going on there.
Yeah, I'm not sure what some of these drivers are going for this evening. Here's Nathan Maximin,
who's also stolen
fastest.
Tom Kemping's livery. Everybody's stolen Tom Kemping's livery and stuck it on their various cars. What is going on? Trading excellence in the chat, please. Well,
for me, he's running a nice old Fanatec orange and black livery. How much longer have we got? We've got just 20 seconds left of qualifying, and Andrew, there's a number of drivers who did not set a lap at all. No. So Quentin Durand was, Murray Adams just at the last, just manages to get by the line and set a time to take himself to 18th place. But Quentin Durand, David Whitehouse and Sam Dimolo are without a time.
Indeed. So there we go. That is the qualifying to set the grid for race number 1 complete. And C2, Howard, how did that look in the end? Because obviously C2 very important here tonight. In fact, you can capture it as we go through the grid.
Absolutely. So Sam Sanders on pole with Michael Preston alongside Hicks and Maximin on row number 2, with Mike Hart and Chris Hansen next. Charlie Summers and Tom Dix on row 4 with Alex Mitchell and James Montgomery to round out the top 10. Then we find the first of our Class 2 runners in the form of Matt Hale. Edward Keithley is a Class 1 alongside. James Fremont is next up on the grid with Cameron Watson alongside. Then we get to our first all-Class 2 row in the form of Andrew Dawson and Tom Kemping. Christopher Powell has several of his championship rivals ahead of him there on 17th. Murray Adams alongside. And then it's Matthew Whitefoot and Matthew Cockram making an all-Matthew row 10 to round out the top 20. James Waller and Rick Wong on row 11. Ian Sumner and Alan Curtis are row 12. Quentin Durand and David Whitehouse are row 13. And Sam Dimolo finishing the 27-car grid. That's how they line up then for the first race of the evening.
And there will be a reverse grid element to race number 2. A green flag mandatory pit stop for everybody tonight. Fuel saving could come into play as well. The Porsche safety car, which thankfully does have the right livery on it, sits at the front of the grid ready to pace the field round for this opening race of the night here at Interlagos for round 12 of the 2022 Club 100 and BUKC iRacing Championship. Andrew Mather and Howard Mitchell in the commentary box for you this evening. And hello to the Kirith community manager. Not sure if that is Kirith or not, or whether it's one of his admins, but hello, good luck to all. Last to first is the challenge tonight for David Whitehouse, aka Motorsport Magpie, and Watts has come in and said bottled. Nobody's bottled anything so far, apart from trading paints. But we're rolling for the formation segment of this race. Something we haven't really talked too much tonight about tonight so far, Howard, is the battle for position 2, second in C1. We've got both of our contenders for it on the front row here in Sam Sanders and Michael Preston. No Josh Ladd, busy with university work and already has the title wrapped up. So this is a great opportunity for either of those drivers to take a round win here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. In some ways, not that I'd say, yay, someone's not here due to having to do a load of work. It does pitch up this battle for second in Class 1 quite nicely. So, yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see between these two how this goes. It's like I'm doing radio commentary here. The Williams, the 90s Williams, with the Canon and the Labatt's sponsorship livery adorning Michael Preston's car, with the Liquid Porsche still in the hands of Sam Sanders here on pole. Should say, by the way, if we have a safety car, we are intending to apply the same rules to all lapped cars at the same time. No anomalies planned. Some of you who follow the F1 news might be aware of that one. But anyway, we're going to be good for a start here for race number 1.
We are indeed. Flagman with the green flag in the air here in Brazil. Round 12 of the 2022 Club 100 and BUKC iRacing Championship is go. Sam Sanders, good start as they go down into the Senna S for the first time. Are they all going to make it through? Looking good at the front end of the field. Already heading on their way onto the back straight. Good start for those at the front.
Yeah, absolutely. An early battle here. Steve Hicks under pressure from Nathan Maximin as they come on to the back straight. And it's going to be Hicksy with the inside, but that's wonderful braking from Nathan Maximin. And he's still side by side with Hicksy as they come up the hill.
Yeah, but we've seen incidents through this part of the course before. I did hear a crunch from behind, so there may well be someone in a bit of bother. It gets tight, really tight through this course of the circuit. Oh, there's one livery out there. There's a FAF Racing number 53 Porsche running around. But apart from that, everybody's still in their default liveries. Hello to Joe Craddock as well, as he's enjoying the stream. And was just popping in to say some very nice things about the heavyweight A final as James Waller is in trouble. James Waller on his return to Club 100 iRacing, off in the BMW there and down to 26th.
Yeah, and that's the last livery that I wanted to see failing, but being as you can't see it at home, I'm not even going to mention which livery it is. Andrew will probably guess which one I'm on about. It may have our logo on it. Here at the front then, at the end of lap number 1, you couldn't tee it up more excitingly in many ways. It is the two men battling over second in the championship. Sam Sanders leads by just a few tenths of a second from Michael Preston.
Does indeed. They're working together at this early stage of the race. As Christopher Powell side by side with Matthew Whitefoot. This is a key battle, as these are two of the strong contenders in the Class 2 competition. And Whitefoot in particular, as Powell's now being attacked by Matthew Cochran. Cochran down the inside, should have the inside line. Beautifully done there by a relative newcomer to this championship, Matthew Cochran, but has been very strong in the lightweight sprints so far this year. Alex Mitchell in the FAF Racing livery there, number 53, currently in 7th place. Has got James Montgomery just behind there. Two drivers who could be looking at tonight's entry list and thinking this is a great opportunity to get an overall podium, but a long, long way in this race to go. And everyone looking nice and steady at the moment, Howard, getting themselves into the rhythm of the race.
Yeah, I've got to say, I mean, I'm just checking back over some of the drivers. So Quentin Durad's had something happen that's caused him to fall off the back. I don't think Charlie Summers was able to take the start. We saw an issue for James Waller, but everybody else having a relatively decent start there. Good to see a good, clean start going on there. As this is Rick Wong versus David Whitehouse. As they come back up the hill.
Yeah, it's been a good run so far from David Whitehouse. He's gained a number of positions. I think this is going to be his last appearance of the year in this championship. Side by side with Wong looking to the outside. Will have to keep his nose in, and drivers will have to give each other room as well, unlike two other drivers did at the weekend. They've done so, and they're still side by side here between Wong and Whitehouse. Whitehouse cutting back to the inside. Great racing here in the 777. Sam Dimolo watching just behind as well. This time Whitehouse, oh, there's a touch there between the two of them. I think Wong may have turned in there and just clipped the rear right bumper of David Whitehouse. It's going to lose him a number of positions.
And I wonder if there was some blinking there, Andrew, because I certainly briefly lost David for a second, so I wonder if there was just confusion caused by that. But both have been able to continue, thankfully. And look at this for third place, side by side, and with a bit of a hip check there.
Mike Hart going through.
Was Mike Hart and Nathan Maximin, and Mike Hart up to third place in robust fashion.
Is indeed in the number 11 BMW. He's going to have a number of drivers in his slipstream now. What's the gap? It's already 4 seconds up to the leader. James Montgomery closing in now on Nathan Maximin. He's just going to hold station for the moment. You can see how close they're getting in to each other there through the Senna S, trying to use as much curb as possible. Such an important corner as they sweep here through Curva de Sol, go on to the Retoposta.
Waiting for the opportunity at the moment is James Montgomery, and actually given, yeah, I thought we might see a bit more action given how we were in the slipstream of Mike Hart there, Andrew, but they held station for now. They're happy to pick their moment in this one. Just looking back at the front, there is a bit of breathing space now between Sanders and Michael Preston. 1 1/4 seconds that Sam Sanders has been able to pull out in his favour.
C2 situation, I'm going to be checking in with them a lot tonight as Ian Sumner loses a position there to both Quinton Durad and David Whitehouse. Matt Hale, it's the left-handers, Howard. It's the anti-clockwise circuits. Matt Hale loves them, and is loving right now in the lead of this race in the 333. I'm sure he's in a good livery as well, but we can't see it because of trading planes. But this is good. This is good for Matt Hale, one of the big contenders in the C2 title. Although if you're Christopher Powell at the moment, sitting there third in C2, 14th overall, I think you're quite content with that situation.
Yeah, nothing too bad as we got our first visit to the pit lane, Andrew, in the form of James Montgomery.
Yes.
But yeah, if you're Christopher Powell at the moment, I'd say you're fairly comfortable.
Yeah, this is a very different strategy from James Montgomery. First driver, as you say, to come into pit lane, take on some fuel. Everybody has to do one mandatory green flag pit stop. He's waited till the end of lap number 4 to do just that. So the earliest opportunity for anybody to do it. In as well comes David Whitehouse. I think I saw Ian Sumner in there as well.
Yes, indeed, Andrew. Yeah, so the number 88 coming onto the pit lane as well. I'm going to call those two I'm going to call that default pit lane cam questionable. Let's stick with let's go with someone else.
Ian Sumner going for tyres as well. Back with the battle around 4th place. This is Steve Hicks, a little bit out of position in the championship stakes. And you've got Chris Hansen in what, trust me, is a simply Catnip BMW somewhere on some people's screens, but not on this one. Switching now to Chris Hansen. You just see Mike Hart there at the front of this order. It's gained 2 positions from where he started in the race. Hicks has lost 1, Hansen gained 1, Maximin behind has lost 2. Biggest gainer, at least of those in the top 10, Cameron Watson, going along very nicely. He's up 9 positions in the number 48, trying to close down in on Tom Dix. He's on in a bit of no man's land, but it's getting on nicely. Meanwhile, a bit further down, let's look at who's gained the most positions of anyone in the field. It's Sam Dimolo. Sam Dimolo's great progress up to 18th place, inside the top 10 in C2 as well. Very nicely done.
Absolutely. Starting from the back was Dimolo after I don't believe he set a time in qualifying. This is an interesting pack in the middle, Andrew. So from Andrew Dawson in 12th down to Murray Adams in 16th. They're not separated by all that much. And this includes some of our key protagonists in the Class 2 battle, not least the points leader coming into this round in the form of Christopher Powell. When you take into account their best 9 results, I know that you can cut the cake differently, but yeah, so it's an interesting one at the moment with the Class 2 drivers very much in amongst each other. Matt Hale with a little bit of breathing space over this pack led by Andrew Dawson. He's about he's just shy of 3 seconds up the road. It's going to be interesting to see how this pack develops and who blinks in terms of the pit stops as well here.
I suppose with fuel and fuel usage rates being one of the big topics of discussion ahead of this race, do you reckon a number of drivers are just quite happy at this stage of the race to sit in a slipstream of a competitor and save that way? It can be quite effective in these GT3 cars.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think there could be something to be said for that, as that's a lovely attempt by Chris Hansen, although I'm going to question the use of track limits there, but that was a beautiful move by Hansen on Hicks for 4th place. But yeah, I wouldn't have thought, well, clearly not in the case of Chris here, but yeah, on the whole, I'd say there's nothing too bad. We're just sitting behind your fellow competitor, just rolling off, you know, rolling off the throttle and doing a bit of lift and coast. You know, there's plenty of places where you can do that quite effectively around here, of course, into turn 1 and into the Descida de Lago and the corner they've just been through as well, the hairpin before they come through this section, and head here towards Yun Sao.
I'm just gonna give you one musical interlude. Doodly-doo, track limits after the move there from Chris Hansen. We'll sort that out in the admin chat later on. Here's a good scrap between Matthew Cockram and I think that might be Murray Adams, or is it? No, it's the thing or the livery. It
yes,
is the
it is. It is.
I thought I could see a 20. I couldn't read the 1 in the middle of it. It was confusing me. But yeah, Murray Adams through past Matthew Cockram. Adams is going to have to defend though into the first turn. Cockram's still there, and well done, chaps. Got through the corner.
Beautifully judged.
Without any contact. Well done.
Yeah.
Moving on. Murray Adams still down the inside of Matthew Cockram. This is a great scrap, actually. Joking aside. Murray Adams deep on the brakes there into Descida de Lago and has got the position back. Really good stuff. It's all over 15th place. But crucial for Murray Adams, he is one of the C2 Championship contenders. Needs to get as many points as possible.
Yeah, and sporting a very fetching turquoise Falcon livery.
Is he?
He is, yes. I'll have to send you the replay once you've got your trading paints fixed. Stationary. Tom Dix with an issue. And now underway again. Well, gosh, that's not the first time this week. Well, again, I'm going to reference the colouring. That's not the first time I've seen a car referencing Gulf colours become stationary in that part of the lap. Or around that area of the lap, I should say. Underway again now, so I would say he was probably helped into that one.
Yeah, and that's a shame for Tom Dix. He's had a bit of an up and down season here in the Club 100 and BUKC iRACIng Championship. Meanwhile, at the front, Sam Sanders and Michael Preston going toe-to-toe in the 2 Porsches. Down the inside goes the number 19 of Preston. Sanders runs out wide a little bit, but this should be Michael Preston's position. It is Michael Preston's position. Change of lead.
Yeah, and a lovely move there by Preston. Been building up to that one for a long time, of course. That 9 of 26 at this point. And yeah, just confidence down the inside there into the Descida de Lago. And the lead is his. I have to say, one interesting thing to be tracking here, Andrew, is how things have paid off for Montgomery pitting early. He's having to pick his way through various bits of traffic. Well, I think he's found some clear air now, but I think he's not. This has not been without a few hold-ups for Montgomery here, so it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out for him.
And it is the risk of giving up track position as Alan Curtis is losing positions there, coming through into the infield. And it's clearly had some damage.
Yeah, front splitter damage I can see there for me.
Yeah. Oh, and a spin right in front of him. That is Sam Dimolo, and the 118 having to spin it round on the grass there. Gets back on circuit. Ooh, that won't do the floor any good at all. Dimolo back into the race. We'll have dirty tyres for the next few corners. Matthew Cockram now ahead of Tom Dix. Tom Dix will look down the inside into the Senna S. Textbook overtake there from Tom Dix. Just looking further down the order now. I think we've got all of our C2 Championship protagonists in there. Just to note as well, there has been a date move for the final round. It's been pushed back a couple of weeks. It is in mid-December. It will be on a Thursday night. And the reason for that is we want to make sure that all the C2 Championship contenders are able to attend. So they are, and that means that details will follow for the stream on that one, which you'll be able to watch here on the DDMM YouTube channel. Do subscribe for that. But all the drivers are aware of that one. And I think that's a good move. I'm not particularly fond of calendar changes, but I'm okay with that one. Make sure that we've got everybody here. Tom Kempink down the inside of Alan Curtis.
I've got to ask, what colour is Tom Kempink's car for you?
Belgium.
Oh, good. I just thought I'd double check. One of the few cars in the field showing correctly this evening.
The thing I don't understand, or maybe it is one of the default liveries, as to is Alex Mitchell the kind of checkered tartan Pfaff racing for you?
Oh yeah, no, but the Pfaff racing is included with the Porsche.
I don't know why it is then. It definitely is.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll stop complaining about that. Steve Hicks and Mike Hart. So this is a change of position. Hart has lost that spot to Steve Hicks. Steve Hicks has picked the pace up, it would seem, maybe after saving a bit of fuel in the early stages of this race. We are on the 11th lap of the race, approaching halfway. Has been using a lot of off-tracks though. Naughty Mr. Hicks is currently the highest, he's got the highest number of off-tracks in the field, playing the game. James Fremont and
someone
Matthew
should
Cochran
talk to
here.
someone should have words with the organiser about that.
Absolutely. He's already had one time off tonight. James Fremont in the battle for the title is Quinton Durad looking down the inside of Alan Curtis. Yeah, Alan Curtis looking like he's really struggling with that splitter damage. We know from our own experiences that if you damage the front end of the Ferrari, you really do lose top speed, straight line speed, hand over fist.
And I'm not quite sure by the strategy he's playing here, Andrew, because he hasn't pitted yet.
Yeah, I'd get that in.
I'd get that in.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Quentin Durad is the only person in the field who's been in the pits twice, according to timing here, as Sam Dimolo has taken to the pit lane. There he is.
Yeah, I would assume for Durad that it was because he had an early problem, didn't he? That,
yes.
The mandatory green flag pit stop has to be taken after the third lap of the race. So we've got that out the way as well. Here's Christopher Powell, C2 Championship leader. Andrew Dawson in the golf-inspired livery just ahead, and David Whitehouse behind. In fact, apologies, no, it's Matthew Whitefoot No, sorry, it is David Whitehouse directly behind, but he is a lap down. That's what's confused me there. Here is Matthew Whitefoot.
Did you just explain that? Because I was just thoroughly confused by what happened with my controls on the cameras. But yes, that is indeed David Whitehouse a lap down on this battle.
Looking fairly quick.
Yes, well, he has pitted, remember.
Yep.
And everyone we're looking at has not. So that's part of the reason why I think we find him a lap down.
133.67 last time for Whitehouse, 133.2 for Powley. If I look at how tight it is on the best lap times, the C2 drivers, all in the one. Well, Hale on a 133.26, Dawson 133.29, Powell that aforementioned 133.28. Let's cut back though. Alex Mitchell trying to find a way past Nathan Maximin just ahead. This is for 6th place. Mitchell has a little look and nearly gets it wrong there. It's very easy to do that. You just come off the racing line, almost put yourself off. I can remember another incident in the Formula 1 here. This is going back quite a few years now. You know, drivers can get suckered into that braking zone. It's slightly downhill. Very easy to snatch a brake and go over the back of a Williams BMW rear wing if you're a certain driver.
Yes, it is.
But well avoided by Alex Mitchell. His heart may have been in his mouth for a split second there.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really nice battle here, though. That's been running for a long time now. You know, these drivers have been lapping within, meter or so of each other now for 13 laps, so as we come up to half race distance. So really good battling between these drivers, and we are at halfway race distance, Andrew. It's going to be interesting to see now who makes a call to the pit lane around about this time.
Yeah, right on cue. We are 20 minutes through the race. This is, we should mention, the SP80 format. The last time we'll use this format in 2022. Has served us well, I feel, this year, Howard. We started the year off with it as, I thought there was going to be a bit of pit activity there. But no, James Fremont sticks behind Matthew Cochran. I think they were just overtaking in Sumner there. Matthew Whitefoot is in the pit lane for the mandatory stop. But no, we first ran this format with the wider range of GT3 cars on offer at Daytona at the very first round of the year. I think it's been pretty good.
Yeah, I like this format a lot. I've got to say, it's good fun this for me, as I think there's been a pass, has there, for... Why did Cameron Watson just disappear off my time and then drop down a bit? He seems to be running okay. But yeah, James Waller has taken to the pit lane, by the way, as well. There he is. But yeah, I think this is a good format, Andrew. It's a nice length of race. You know, in a very popular format of car. We've got a little bit of strategy in there with the pit stops, but also a decent sort of sprint-ish length race. I think it's good. I think it's a really nice format, and gosh, what a season it's been for the variety and you know, all of the various options and combinations we've had, as Nathan Maximin fires down the inside of Chris Hansen at turn number 1, and that is pretty much textbook there for getting the job done through turn number 1. And there is a change for 5th place. He's going to need to defend it, though, heading down to the Descida de Lago again, down this back straight. He will have the inside line, but can he judge his braking point correctly and not skirt wide? Yes, he can. Yes, he can. And he's going to hold on to that 5th place. Job done.
I just wonder if you're Alex Mitchell in this situation, you're seeing a little bit of fighting and squabbling ahead of you. Do you think about the pit stop on this particular lap instead of being potentially held up by those drivers ahead?
Yeah, there's an argument, isn't there, to try and get the undercut. Try and get the undercut on them effectively. Get out there, hit the hammer time and see if you can't get the pass done in the pit stops. The only question will be where he comes out, and I still think that that's been a... Admittedly, James Montgomery has found clean air since my last comment around questioning how well the strategy is going to pay off for him. But yeah, it could be an interesting one to see, as they're still battling away here as they come through Yunsao.
News.
So it is Go on, mate.
News from Sam Dimolo has had to retire from this race. Yes, you can rejoin for race 2, mate. Absolutely. Don't forget those technical issues fixed. Here's a good scrap. This is Alex Mitchell not electing to go into the pit lane, trying to get through and past Nathan Maxman, who's been overtaken by Chris Hansen again, and that is beautifully done by Mitchell, and even more beautifully done by Alex Mitchell if he can hold the line in there in the Porsche and get 2 positions in quick succession. Was there contact there between Hansen and Maximin?
I think there might have just been the slightest clip, either that or Maximin overcorrected to where he thought the BMW M4 GT3 of Chris Hansen was going, but what a sequence of corners for Alex Mitchell. That was beautiful, although he's now, you know, at the head of the peloton. Now he's the one with the target on his back, so he really needs to try and push here to get on up the road and away from these 2 behind him. Beautiful, beautiful series of corners, though.
I think he's doing just that, though. This is a good phase of the race for Alex Mitchell. Stuck with it, got through. Callers. Tom Dix is in the pit lane as well. Is going to re-emerge behind. I'm just keeping an eye on James Montgomery because, of course, he was our earliest pit stopper. Is up to 15th place now. Has got a gap of 13.8 seconds up the road to Matthew Cochran. So he is now in clean air.
Well, as I say, I think he's had more clean air than I gave credit for earlier, because he hit quite a cushion between himself as a pit caller and the back of the sort of main pack, as it were. So I think he's had a fair old run of it, actually, Andrew. It's going to be really interesting to see how he comes out. James Fremont has been in the pits as well, as has Alan Curtis. Well, Alan Curtis and Rick Wonga are in there now as the battle over 5th place heads by to start a new lap. None of them pitting so far. But really nice stuff we're seeing between these 3 as well, particularly very entertaining. Still a fair proportion of the field, over half the field, who are due to make their pit stop. Is your leader, Michael Preston, who took the lead about 8 laps ago, I think it was, that he put the move in on Sam Sanders, and has been controlling this one since.
Pace last time around a 1:31.8. Which was 0.6 of a second quicker than Sam Sanders. He's pushing hard.
Here is the interesting one. This is James Montgomery, who has gone on to the back of Matthew Cochran, and I think this marks the end of his long period where he did have clean air.
Yes.
I think he's now effectively got onto the back of pit callers, so now's the time where, you know, he's got to try and deal with this traffic as quickly as he can. I don't mean any disservice referring to Matthew Cochran as traffic, but he's got this challenge now to get by, as that looked like an Alan Curtis at the side of the road there, and indeed it was.
Yep, just pulling over to one side.
Yep. But this is the challenge for Montgomery with the strategy he's picked. How quickly can he get by? And there's a big lap for pits, Andrew. We've got Sam Sanders, Steve Hicks, Mike Hart all on pit lane here.
And Hicks overshot the box there. Nathan Maximin comes to a stop. So this is it then. End of lap number 16 going on to 17. Sorry, no, 17 on to 18. Away they all go. And, Mitchell has jumped Maximin there. So Nathan Maximin has been jumped by Alex Mitchell. Now, of course, it's up to the drivers to decide how much fuel they put in.
Was Mitchell not ahead after the last
sorry, true, yeah. No, true, he was, and he was just a bit further up the pit lane. So that has all shaken out. That Steve Hicks ahead of Mike Hart, Alex Mitchell, Nathan Maximin, and James Montgomery. The gap is 4 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. Here he is. Just coming through the Descida de Lago, which is just where we saw the likes of Hart, Mitchell and Maximin coming through. So he's not lost out too heavily there, Andrew. I would say he's maybe lost out a touch, maybe in the last lap there, trying to get by on some of the cars he'd caught up to.
Race
but they've
leader
all pitted and got out of his way. Yes, absolutely. Michael Preston on to the pit lane. And the lead will be inherited by Chris Hansen. No, it won't, because he's heading into the pits now as well. as is Cameron Watson. So here we go. Here's the question. Where does Sam Sanders come out in relation to Michael Preston?
I think it's going to be advantage Preston. It's quite a favourable pit exit here at Interlagos. There you see in the distance is Michael Preston. He's going to comfortably be out ahead. And out to the tune of 3.5 seconds. That has been a very, very good first half of the race there from Michael Preston. Can he see it home? He's got 7 more laps.
Yeah, 3.4 seconds the gap that he's got. I have to say the leaders in Class 2 in as well, Andrew, or pitting from the leader Class 2, Matt Hale and Andrew Dawson. 2 drivers who we're keeping a close eye on in Class 2 this evening.
And important to see, where is Christopher Powell in all of this? That's Ed Keefley in the green Ferrari going around the outside. We've not seen too much of Ed so far tonight. He's going to retake position. But of course as well, we've got to note, Howard, that the C1 and the C2s, same as we were talking about in sprints at the weekend, as they're just trying to get past Ian Sumner there as a back marker. Same points system. It's done by overall position, so it's not the case of you get 100 points for a C1 win and a C2 win dependent on your class. We're going to cut away from that though, because this has got very close all of a sudden for Chris Powell, championship leader in C2, trying to find a way past Andrew Dawson, but he's lost out there to Tom Dix. Tom Dix goes through.
Yep, just gone a little bit bold into turn 8, the hairpin at turn 8 after the Ferraduras. And yeah, has ultimately lost out there, where I thought he was actually going to get himself by on Andrew Dawson. Yeah, Tom Dix coming through as a bit of a disruptor. Don't forget he had that slow moment, didn't he, or a spin, or something meant that he was slow earlier. So maybe a little bit out of position relative to his pace. Here we go then, up the hill. We've got some traffic on our right-hand side. That's Ian Sumner going a lap down. On board with Tom Dix in the slipstream of Andrew Dawson. This is over 12th place.
Dawson may be vulnerable here. It was a touch wide through the first part of the Senna S. Yes, he's going to have to fend off Tom Dix here, or maybe just let him go, because it's a decent track position over Christopher Powell. That's the main rival for Dawson here tonight. Is Dix going to go for a move? No, thinks better of it. Wasn't able to get up alongside Dawson there. Running up towards the Ferradura now. Tell that Dawson is pushing because Matt Hale's further ahead. This has been a really good race so far for Matt Hale.
We don't speak too much about this, Andrew, or haven't at times, but it's important to bear in mind that the way that the tyres evolve on these different GT3 cars will be a factor here. So you do get this natural ebb and flow, as that's going to be a big send by Tom Dix down the inside, and he's going to get the job done. That was a beautiful move there.
Yeah, wisely left by Dawson as well. Could have turned in, could have made it a lot more difficult for both drivers in that regard, but let Tom Dix get on his way. Maybe able to give a bit of a tow now up the hill, because there is Christopher Powell. Last time out in the Formula 3s, sealed up the Simutech F3 Challenge in C2. Trying to go a step better tonight and move towards being C2 champion across the whole of this year in the Club 100 iRacing Championship. Meanwhile, back up towards the front, 5th place battle, Alex Mitchell and Nathan Maximin.
This has been a fantastic one all race long, and they're not done yet. Oh, Maximin's so strong through the Ferraduras there. Although it is a sequence, it is a couple of corners, Andrew, where you can go bold on the entry and then be compromised on the exit, but that seemed like Maximin just a little bit more comfortable through that section at this stage.
Yeah, and Alex Mitchell has had to deal with some really high stakes, high pressure scenarios so far in this championship in 2022. Has properly impressed many people, ourselves included. Drivers ahead, of course, on Mike Hart, and I think David Whitehouse was a lap down on the leaders at the sharp end of the field. Look at what the pace for Whitehouse is like. 1:33.3 last time around. All of these drivers are in the low 132s. Here is Quinten de Rad continuing to fight back through the field. Has got a good turn of pace at the moment, 132.3 last time around. It's about a second quicker than these C2 drivers. Got Matthew Whitefoot just ahead of him.
Yeah, closest two on track at the moment, Andrew. A great battle going on up ahead of them on the road as well. To the inside of turn number 1 goes de Rad. Whitefoot's going to leave the space. And that's going to be job done, but that might mean that Whitefoot is exposed to attack from Murray Adams as well. He's good for a dogfight, this circuit at Interlagos, isn't it? Really good battling that we've seen this race. A track that drivers will have a lot of experience on, Andrew, across sims. I think my first time racing on here would have been F1 1997. So I imagine, maybe not with that particular title, but I imagine a lot of drivers here will have had experience, and that's a big moment for Murray Adams. Just clipped the curb.
Well, gets back on circuit, but that could be a costly error for Murray Adams in the C2 championship battle. Was already on the back foot in a way with how the points are at the moment. Spin there. Lost maybe about 5 seconds. Right into, not quite into the clutch. I think it's actually a back marker behind. Yes, just caught the sight of Tom Kemping. He was the next driver back, but yeah, that is not what you want if you're Murray Adams. A lot of work to do now to close back into Matthew Whitefoot.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I mean, he'll be glad to have kept running off the back of that one, and he seems to be back up to speed quickly. But yeah, heart in the mouth moment there for Murray Adams. Meanwhile, Quinten de Rad on a bit of a charge here. He's just got by on Christopher Powell. That's for 14th place. On a bit of a march up through the field now. We've still got battling going on between Freeman and Cockram. Sorry, Andrew. Coming into turn number 1. I don't think it's the first time we've seen these two doing this particular exchange. But it remains with Matthew Cockram for now for 19th place.
Yeah, just to mention about Quinten de Rad, he can have a bit of fun with it, driving through the field. Isn't a championship contender. Does like racing around this Interlagos circuit. These two drivers some 22 seconds ahead of James Waller at the moment. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like those who pitted earlier have had the rub of the green in this race.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
They've either had traffic on the way back through, like James Montgomery, or they've given track position away to an extent where they've started getting lapped, and having to pay attention to the blue flags has meant they've lost time. Here is Quinten de Rad once again. That's Andrew Dawson just ahead of us in the blue and orange BMW. And I think this is going to be another move down the inside for Quinten de Rad. You can see ahead of them Tom Dixon, Matt Hale fighting over position there. Through goes Quinten de Rad on Andrew Dawson. That is de Rad up to 13th place. Actually, it's Rick Wong ahead now on circuit. Rick Wong on his debut here in the Club 100 and BUKC iRACING Championship. Working through there. Nice and tidily done by Quinten de Rad. Yeah,
been on it the last few laps, hasn't he? Really good stuff. Really good stuff. Back with the battle for 4th place here. Just closed up a little bit more on this lap after a relatively peaceful period. I say well, yeah, it is relatively speaking, because these drivers have been so close together all race long. Alex Mitchell, though, might have a run here. Maybe a little bit too far back. We go on board with him, chasing Mike Hart towards turn 1. A long way back there, and hold station for now.
Giving Treading Paint another tickle, see if it comes alive. But apologies for the issues. We would love to bring in deliveries because they're far better than the default ones, but Not quite sure what the problem is there, but it's just good fighting at the moment. Mike Hart in position there ahead of Alex Mitchell. Leader out front, Howard. It's looking good for Michael Preston.
Yeah,
Number
absolutely.
of seconds out ahead. Now 6 seconds the gap between himself and Sam Sanders.
And I'll see the last lap indicator this time around. Let's see the white flag. Yeah, been controlling it really well. 6 seconds the gap that he has over Sam Sanders. And in fact, here he is starting his final lap of the circuit. Not really anything to worry about around him.
Does like this format, does Michael Preston. He's had a good amount of success in it over the last couple of years. Last year, where it was just the Ferrari GT3 car in action. This year, giving the drivers that choice. He's dealt with it well. Alex Mitchell trying to find a way past Mike Hart once again as they go on to the final lap. Mike Hart's defending that well, using all of his experience to place that BMW in just the right position, so Alex Mitchell can't put a move in. Onto the straight now, towards turn number 4. Looking back now from Mike Hart, and again just positioning himself out in the middle of the road, puts off the opportunity for Alex Mitchell to send one down the inside. Out of the Descida de Lago, up towards the Ferradura now, and again Mike Hart defending so well. This will be a bit of an area where he can defend. It's narrower, track width is low. Oh, who was that off to one side of the track? It wasn't one of the leaders. In fact, I think it might have been Quinton Durad. I think Quinton Durad has fallen down the order here. But Michael Preston
not sure.
is going to come through to take race victory number 1, and half the job done here tonight on a night where he's trying to take the initiative in the second place battle within the championship. Michael Preston wins race number 1 and will win by some 7.9 seconds ahead of Sam Sanders. It's going to be a good result for Steve Hicks in the Ferrari, first of the Ferraris home, in 3rd place. Across the line there, Mike Hart is going to hold on for 4th place ahead of Alex Mitchell in 5th. Nathan Maximan in 6th, had some good speed. James Montgomery tried something different, is rewarded with P7. Chris Hansen P8, Cameron Watson P9. Ed Keefe makes it an all C1 top 10, but just behind, here's a crucial result. Matt Hale is going to finish in 11th overall, but first the C2s, and take some more points off the rest of the C2s by beating Tom Dix. Tom Dix in 12th, Andrew Dawson 13th, Christopher Powell 14th, Matthew Whitefoot 15th. So a lot of the C2 big hitters there, Howard, getting a good first result in. And some points on the board for racing here tonight at Interlagos. But Matt Hale will be very, very pleased with that effort. He backed himself to do well here tonight on a circuit he enjoys, and he's got the first class victory.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's going to be great for his momentum in this battle. I think it might have been Sam Dimolo, by the way, who we saw off to the left-hand side out the Ferraduras. Not sure, but he's the only car I'm aware of that's wearing sort of a distinctive pink livery. Yeah, really good stuff there from Matt Hale. Going to give himself some great momentum, as I say, going into race number 2.
Apologies, just a slight mute button issue there. Here's your race result then for race number 1. Michael Preston wins by 7.9 seconds ahead of Sam Sanders. Steve Hicks in 3rd, Mike Hart 4th, Alex Mitchell 5th, Nathan Maximan in 6th, James Montgomery, Chris Hansen, Cameron Watson and Ed Keefley wrap out the top 10. Matt Hale, as we say, first of the C2 runners, those with the blue number boards, home in 11th place overall. Tom Dix in 12th, Andrew Dawson 13th, Christopher Powell and Matthew Whitefoot in the top 15. Quinton Durad had a bit of an up and down race, finishes P16 after an early incident. Murray Adams had a spin and finished P17. Tom Kempink was 18th. James Fremont and Matthew Cockram had a great battle for 19th place. It was Fremont who came out on top in that one. James Waller, on his return to the Club 100 BUKC iRacing Championship, had problems early on, finished P21. David Whitehouse, again, tried something a bit different with the strategy, didn't quite work out, was P22. Rick Wong, in his first race in this championship, comes home in 23rd. Alan Curtis, Ian Sumner, Sam Dimolo and Charlie Summers complete the classification. Well, the between races warm-up is now underway. We'll take a short break here on the commentary and we'll be back in about 5 minutes' time for more coverage here for the 2022 Club 100 and BUKC iRacing Championship. Welcome back, everybody, to live coverage of this, the penultimate round of the 2022 Club 100 and BUKC iRacing Championship. Andrew Mather and Howard Mitchell from Double Dash Motorsport Media on commentary duties for you tonight. And we're just about getting ourselves ready for race number 2 this evening here at INTERLAGOS. Last appearance of the year for the GT3s. And Howard, a really good victory in the first race for Michael Preston. He just seemed to be at ease around this circuit in the Porsche GT3, winning quite comfortably in the end over Sam Sanders.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw him sort of biding his time for the first sort of third of the race. Spoke maybe about the fact that he was using it as a bit of fuel saving and stuff like that, but in the end the move was quite decisive there, and he puts himself in the pound seats to claim that second place in the championship that he's fighting for tonight with Sam Sanders. So yeah, it was a commanding victory there for Michael Preston, and yeah, it will be interesting to see how things play out in race number 2 around this. I have to say, didn't Interlagos deliver on some of the battling in that race? Some brilliant stuff throughout. There was always somewhere for us to look in terms of a battle. Yeah, for me, this fantastic circuit delivering at the moment.
We've had a fiddle to try and get Trading Paints to do what it needs to do, but to no avail. We'll look at it after. We'll get it working for the final round of the year, which you will be able to watch here on the DDMM YouTube channel. If you've not subscribed already, do click that subscribe button. Really does help us out. And whilst you're at it, if you've not seen any of Sunday's coverage from Bookmore Park, not right now because we've got another race in a minute, but do go and give it a watch.
Absolutely.
We saw, mate, you can sometimes overuse superlatives, but I don't think you can in this case. That heavyweights A final was a race for the ages.
It really was. It really was. It was a classic Club 100 championship decider, and yeah, it totally delivered. Bookmore Park, what a great venue to have such a race, because you can have some fantastic battles around Bookmore Park. You know, it was not enough for anyone to just win that race, you know, and that made it a very, very fascinating cocktail to close out the championship, and good sportsmanship as well between the two drivers at the top contesting that as well, which was great to see. So if you've not, you know, immediately. Not even immediately. One of them was applauding the other as they crossed the line, I seem to recall. So, you know, do go back and watch that. You know, that's not to say it didn't have its little bits of controversy as well as a race. But yeah, do go back and have a watch that, because it was highly entertaining for me, and I think for several people, a race of the year, or definitely one of the big highlights of the year.
It was indeed. Do give us a follow on Instagram as well if you're on there at Double Dash MM. Posting some of the highlights on there as well. So reverse grid, partial reverse grid to correct myself. Here it is. Matthew Cochran will have pole position. James Fremont alongside on the front row. Tom Kempink and Murray Adams will be row 2. Quinton Durad and Matthew Whitefoot on row 3. Christopher Powell and Andrew Dawson key row that for the C2 permutations. That's row 4. Tom Dix and Matt Hale is row 5. Ed Keithley and Cameron Watson will go from the 6th row of the grid. Chris Hansen and James Montgomery on row 7. Nathan Maximin and Alex Mitchell resume battle from row 8. Mike Hart and Steve Hicks on row 9. Sam Sanders and Michael Preston, the last of those who are switched, start on row 10. All remaining drivers start where they finished race 1. James Waller and David Whitehouse on row 11. Rick Wong and Alan Curtis on row number 12. Ian Sumner and Sam Dimolo row 13. Charlie Summers, if internet is repaired, will be the 27th and final car on the grid. Same race format, 40 minutes of racing, or thereabouts, 26 laps, and one mandatory green flag pit stop for all drivers to be taken after lap number 3. And as it is a reverse grid race, Howard, very unpredictable the start. I fancy Quinten de Rad here. If he can get his way through the order as a driver who we saw with very good pace in that first race, was down into the low 32s. This is going to be a real opportunity for Quinten.
Yeah, totally. Totally agree with that one, mate. I think this could be one of the more interesting reverse grids that we've seen this year, because I thought the pace spread across the field was not all that. I didn't think it was that big. You know, we saw some fantastic battles throughout the field here. I'm not sure it's you know, it's going to be no walk in the park for the runners who might conventionally expect themselves to filter through to the front. I don't think it's going to be a done deal at all. This is going to be fun.
Everybody trying to use save as much fuel as possible. Big race this for the C2 Championship. Any of these C2 runners who can keep themselves up in the front could be on for a big haul of points, not only in this round but in the championship. We're ready to go for the second race tonight here at Interlagos. Eyes on those lights. The pace car pulls into the pits, ready to go racing. Matthew Cockram and James Fremont on the front row. Away we go for 26 more laps here at Interlagos. Murray Adams immediately cutting to the inside into, and look how packed it is. 3, 4, 5 wide, I think it places towards the back. Surely nobody is going to come through that completely clean, and yet David Whitehouse receiving a few taps there. Christopher Powell in trouble. Christopher Powell in trouble. Oh, and I think that's a big incident. That may be a safety car straight away. In fact, it is going to be a safety car, surely, because there's a lot of cars involved there. And that is not what we want to see. Safety car confirmed. But that is going to shake things up. I think that all got a bit hectic in the midfield, where they were going 3, 4 wide in places.
I don't think they all know what order they should be in either, Andrew.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an interesting one. Quinten de Rad is gone to the pits off the back of that. I think we did see a car flipped upside down in the air.
That was de Rad.
But how about that?
So the C2 runners that has involved, Christopher Powell's one of them. Matthew Whitefoot was one of them as well, of the key ones that can still mathematically win the whole season championship in C2. Matthew Cockram and Tom Camping at the front of the order, and will stay at the front of the order during this safety car period.
Matthew Cockram, our leader.
Murray Adams will be faring pretty good out of this. Being P3. So the safety car will pick up the drivers this lap. Safety car has to go over the line once. So, and any pit stops at this point, Howard, do not count as the mandatory pit stop. We should be clear on that one.
I believe as well they've been running a rule that says it's no stops in the first 3 laps.
Yep. So you can
as well.
Come
so
in for
yeah,
damage, get that repaired,
yes,
but it does not serve as your mandatory stop. So that'll be what's happening with Ed Keithley at the moment here. Quinten de Rad, you see there in the pits, will be towing at the moment. I don't think we've got Charlie Summers or Ian Sumner running in this race either.
Yep.
I'm surprised in a way that we've only seen one car in.
I'm surprised as well, I have to say, Andrew. I really thought that was there was more carnage than that, to be perfectly honest. Mike Hart here, I want to say, well, this won't help, this won't be useful information for yourself, mate. I know you're struggling with deliveries tonight, but I want to say it was an orange BMW I saw having to go wide in avoidance through turn 2.
I think you'd be right there, because Mike Hart has got 2 off tracks.
Yeah, so I think Yeah, so I think I mean, it all happened pretty quickly. It was difficult to follow the whole pack, but I know things started to unravel fairly early on for him, and I wonder if it was just everybody getting back together to try and make it through 3, which caused everyone to check up and ultimately bunch up. That's not to in any way attribute blame, but I think that was the first thing that I saw that maybe, well, I say the first thing, apart from everyone barreling to turn 1, 4, 5 abreast, that was the first thing that caught my eye as out of the ordinary.
Ian Sumner has retired from the race, is watching at home. You're doing well, mate.
Quentin Durad has disconnected as well, I can report, Andrew, so that is a driver who we thought would be a key player in this. Losing connection or deciding that the race was written off the back of quite a big incident.
So the safety car will go over the start-finish line, should then be coming in at the end of the next lap. And yeah, you just see the lights on the safety car extinguish, so that confirms that the safety car will peel back into the pits at the end of lap number 3. And it will be Matthew Cockram on the second rolling start of the race. I'll need to be careful as well with this safety car restart, because the safety car does pull off quite late here at Interlagos. We don't want a Mugello 2020 situation, if you know what I mean.
This man here, James Montgomery, fastest lap of the race, Andrew. With
Excellent.
a 2 minutes 40.
Rapid. Absolutely rapid. If you're enjoying the coverage, ladies and gentlemen, do make sure that you've given that like button a press. And the notification bell really does help us out, particularly as going into 2023. It's that time of the year where if you're enjoying the commentary, you want to inquire about services for 2023, do drop us a direct message here on YouTube or over on Facebook or Instagram, or on the inquiries form on the website www.double-mm.co.uk. I always forget, is it .co.uk or is it .com?
.com.
Damn it! Anyway, moving on. Here's James Waller. 16th place at the moment for Waller. And the other key thing here, saving fuel. This will change the fuel situation for some drivers. I'll be wanting to eagerly get on with this one. Maybe try and eke out another lap or so. Shorten that pit stop. They will still have to serve it, of course. Doesn't get rid of that element of the race. On board with the front bumper of Matthew Cockram. See the pace car ahead of us. Good opportunity this for Tom Kemping. Has taken C2 race victories so far this season. Likes things here in the Ferrari.
It's going to be an interesting restart, Andrew. All Class 2 runners in the top 5. Tom Dix in the pound seats as the Class 1 leader as well. How's this going to be off at the restart?
Ready to go then. We'll go on to lap 4 of 26 here at Interlagos for the restarts. There goes the pace car. Waiting for Matthew Cockram to drop the hammer. Away he goes. It's a good start for Matthew Cockram. All of them filing through at the back. And back underway under green flag conditions. Will anyone pit in the early stages of this one? There's already battles going on. Alex Mitchell's in the middle of all of that. Cameron Watson as well. I think there was a spinner in the background as well. It is number 34, Sam Sanders. So Sam Sanders in trouble. He's going to lose position to Michael Preston, who's down in 20th place at the moment. Hasn't had the opportunity to race through yet. Steve Hicks being challenged by Michael J. Preston now and goes through. They've got Christopher Powell ahead of them. Christopher Powell looking down the inside of James Waller there. Waller gives him room. Going to be side by side as they go up towards Ferradura. That's a bold move from Christopher Powell, who needs to get on with it here and has done just that. Got up to 17th place.
Yeah, absolutely. He needs to be making good progress here in this reverse grid race. And yeah, that's exactly how it's done. So the gap has closed a little bit after Cochrane had a really good restart, I thought, Andrew. Murray Adams and Tom Kempink, who have swapped positions off of that restart, by the way. Murray Adams to second now, ahead of Kempink, but they've worked together for the remainder of this lap to bring themselves onto terms with the leader, and this could be a lot of pressure for Cochrane up the hill.
Yeah, he's got two fast drivers in the tow there. Looking back, there is the, at least on our screens, blue and red number 210 of Murray Adams. Cochrane's going to defend this down the inside. Adams looking for the switch there, not quite on. Tom Kempink fishing around as well in third place. James Montgomery coming through. Andrew. Yeah, I was wondering whether this would happen, whether drivers would take advantage of the saved fuel at this stage of the race, top up the tanks. Fremont, Hart, Hicks, Sanders, Preston all in. This is going to be interesting to see. And change the lead. Murray Adams down the inside of Matthew Cochrane. Beautiful move, kept it in track limits. That is just what the Scotsman needed.
Yeah, and James Montgomery to the head of the Class 1 runners as well, by on Tom Dix, and Alex Mitchell would like a piece of the action as well, but he'll be on the outside for the Ferraduras. And so unless he can tuck back underneath, I think he's going to have to hold station for the time being.
It's very tight in the midfield there. You can see Cameron Watson making a move behind in the number 48 Porsche. Down the inside of Nathan Maximin, gets through.
Yeah, both down the inside of Andrew Dawson, in fact, there as well. A really nice move by both of them. But yeah, we have now got this two section race here, Andrew. Michael Preston is the furthest ahead of those that have pitted. Actually, no, technically Ed Keithley is, because he pitted under the safety car for damage. But in terms of having served their mandatory stop, Michael Preston is at the forefront of those, but here are the rest of them. This is the we pitted early battle.
I tell you what, it's potentially not a bad move, this, from James Fremont. I don't mean a disservice by this. I wouldn't expect to keep in this position, but he'll have three fast drivers in that group able to tow him along. A lot more pitters this next lap as well. Hale, Maximin, Whitefoot, are all in. Powell in as well, so this is important for T2. I think this is drivers covering off that early move. Tom Kempink now back down the inside of Matthew Cochrane, looking for second place there. James Montgomery might be able to take advantage of this round the outside in the pink and blue and purple BMW. This time James Montgomery going long. He was the earliest pitter in the first race. Tom Dix is there as well in the green and white Porsche.
Well, to be fair to him, the standard for going long in this race is set pretty low. We're only on lap 6. But yeah, absolutely not the earliest pit caller this time out by any stretch of the imagination.
Ian Sumner makes a good point. David Whitehouse, the biggest mover since the restart, has gained 7 positions by staying out there. There is Nathan Maximin, has re-emerged from the pit lane and has come out in not a bad position here. Only 1.2 seconds behind Michael Preston. So Nathan Maximin ahead of Steve Hicks and Sam Sanders at this stage of the race. Has got track position now. Matt Hale has re-emerged ahead of Matthew Whitefoot and James Fremont, and ahead of Mike Hart as well. This is a fascinating first half of this second race of the night. On board now with James Montgomery, trying to get through on 2 drivers here. Kempink to the outside. Good defence from Matthew Cochrane, but I think he is losing time here. With this battling contact between Kempink and Montgomery, both off in the wall, both with damaged cars. Surely they will have to pit at the end of this lap, but that is any chance of a good result for either of those drivers gone in a flash.
Yeah, I was going to credit them for giving each other good room through turns 1 and 2, but it just all came to tears on 3. It's painful for both of them there. Kempink's going to have to nurse this one back to the pits, as is Montgomery. I'm not sure how straight either of those cars are, to be honest. Was clear damage to the rear of Kemping's car, so I think he'll have suffered the worst damage there.
Hello to Alpha Live,
you and I know.
Just tuned in.
Ah, hello.
No, you were saying no, mate, with the steering. It's not a long lap here at Interlagos, but it's gonna feel considerably.
No, but there's a technical infield here, which could be quite fun to nurse car through. So yeah, that's going to be painful for Kemping there to get that one back towards the head of the pack. Those who haven't pitted yet, Chris Hansen chasing Matthew Cochran for second place.
Mitchell in. Alex Mitchell dives into the pits. I think that is a wise move. As down the inside goes Chris Hansen. That's the kind of move that meant he was the C2 champion last year. This year in C1, bold on the brakes in the BMW. Coming through was Chris Hansen, and that will be second place.
I'm gonna reference the wrong driver. That was Montoya-esque for me, that move. And Cameron Watson wants to get in on some of this action as well, if possible, but it's going to be bold there. Tom Kemping has indeed pitted, as has James Montgomery. Alex Mitchell still on the pit lane, Andrew, and that hasn't
slow.
paid off.
That seemed a bit slow to me, that Alex Mitchell is going to come out here. Now I wonder, did he have any form of penalty? It's an easy pit entry to get your speed wrong, because he's going to come out way back from the majority of the pack. Something not quite right there for Alex Mitchell.
Steve Hicks here, and Sam Sanders running in 15th and 16th respectively at the moment, but they are in amongst the "we've been to the pits already" crew. So interesting to see how it will play for them once all the stops are done. Cochran under pressure again here though. Cameron Watson in the slipstream this time, Andrew.
Yeah, Cameron Watson cuts to the inside. Another move into the S's. Cochran's going to stay around the outside though. Watson gives him room. These drivers will have seen what happened to Kemping and Montgomery, who are running again, by the way, but are down in 22nd and 23rd places respectively. There is James Waller. Jimbo is in the pits. He's got his mandatory fuel stop done and will re-emerge. Potentially back ahead of Kemping and Montgomery. Here's the Hicks-Sanders battle. Or is it a battle, or are they trying to work together in this phase of the race to catch back up to Nathan Maximin? We're on lap 9 of the second race of the evening here at Interlagos. Murray Adams, your leader, is being reeled in at the moment by Chris Hansen. Here's Alan Curtis and Tom Dix. This is the fight for 9th place. Good to see Alan Curtis up there. Ooh, having a bit of a problem with the rear end of the Ferrari there, and loses that spot.
Would say we should give some fair attention here to Tom Dix, because
yes,
he's pitted.
But I'm trying to remember when, because he didn't pit under the safety car.
I think he would have been one of the pit callers, maybe from the second or third wave of people we saw, but he's got out ahead of Michael Preston.
Yes.
And he's 3 seconds to the good over Michael Preston. You can just see him in the background there. So at the moment, Andrew,
let's have a look at maybe this is something different in terms of fuel.
So
Ed Keithley 133.27 last time around.
Yeah, so Ed Keithley ahead of him in 8th place has also yet to pit. You can see there on the driver track at the top 8 have that gap. Ed Keithley is an odd one out because he has been in the pit lane, but it was for damage under the safety car, so that can't count as his mandatory stop. Ed, if you're listening to us, you do need to pit again, by our understanding of it. But yeah, this is an interesting one for me, Andrew, because I think we're looking at, once everything comes out in the wash,
effective race leader.
Well, assuming that the earlier stop pays off.
Yes.
Which at the moment on timing it very much looks like it's doing so.
Just checking in, where did James Waller come out? He came out in the end in 17th place, so ahead of the Matt Hale, Matthew Whitefoot, Christopher Powell battle. And right on cue here it is, as Matt Hale looking for a way through there on James Waller. James Waller, who's by own admission not the most experienced around this circuit. Whitefoot looking for a move. Matthew Whitefoot, who's just transformed as a driver on iRacing, Howard, since that bit of training that he had with Steve Hicks earlier in the season at the Le Mans 2-driver special in the team endurance. He's the danger driver, I think, for me, in terms of someone who can wrestle the title in C2 away from those who've been at the front of the season, front of that championship table throughout the season, because of the point scoring that he's put in, especially in the second half of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an incredible season of development for him, and it's been great to see. Actually, success back at Le Mans, wasn't it? The breakthrough there, but yeah, really good stuff. A bit too far back from Matt Hale to challenge at the moment, but he'll be looking to try and keep an advantage over Chris Powell behind him.
Just looking at the lap times again, Howard. So 1:33.03 for Tom Dix last time around, 1:31.95 for Michael Preston, which was the fastest lap of anybody of the race so far. Here's Ed Keithley, Sam Dimolo just behind, so Sam has been able to get back out on circuit. Had the audio issue. I've had this, it's awful, where you just have no audio and you have no reference as to how to change gear. But he's got that fixed now, clearly. Running well there in 8th place. Hasn't pitted yet.
You call it that. To be honest, I quite like driving the Porsche Mission R myself on this format, mate, but that's fine. So, niche audio reference. Yeah, no, I've had that audio issue as well. It's terrible if you haven't got the reference noise. And actually, I like the sound of the Mission R, so that works too. But here's the battle then in amongst the top 8 between Cockram and Dawson. But I'll be honest with you, mate, these drivers need to be working together as much as possible at the moment, and that's not how it's done. Because I reckon they're in for a nasty surprise at the moment when they emerge from their pit stop later on.
Yeah, they are losing time here. I like the position that Murray Adams is in at the moment. 2 seconds clear, still side by side. Oh, David Whitehouse, beautifully done. Down the inside in the 777. Ed Keithley looking in there as well. What's happening here? This is James Waller, I think, being overtaken by this pack of 3 C2s. It's a curious phase of this race. You've got the 3 drivers at the front of this pack here, all C2 runners, all C2 championship contenders, rivals for that award, but at the moment needing to work together and work together quite nicely, playing the long game, especially as we're not even in the second half of this one yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's very interesting, Andrew. We're seeing some good, sprint racing tactics here in many ways.
Michael Preston has closed into Tom Dix here, is now half... Oh, contact there between Cockram and Whitehouse, and Whitehouse spins! Oh, and makes contact with Ed Keithley. Ed Keithley in the middle of the track now. He's going to have to get himself out of there pretty sharpish, because here comes the lead. Tom Dix and Michael Preston, they go through. Oh, but a real shame for Ed Keithley there. Was on for another good result, but that is it. His car surely will have a lot of damage from that contact. Yeah,
that's going to be gusty. Something's happened to Alan Curtis, by the way, and all that is, well, not in all that, separately to all that we just saw. Curtis having to take to the pit lane, and it's not his first visit, so I think there's some drama there for him. But yeah, that was a gutting moment there for Keithley, and for David Whitehouse as well, because he was racing really well on the laps prior to that. Not quite sure. I'd have to see it back, to be perfectly honest with you. There was a bit of contact, wasn't there, between himself and Matthew Cockram through turn 1, and it just turned him around. But this could be a critical pass, couldn't it? This is Michael J. Preston taking what for the moment is just 8th place. but once everything comes out in the wash with the stops, Andrew, that could have been a critical move.
Yeah, really good stuff. This has been a very impressive performance for the Southampton BUKC driver so far tonight. I was having a little chat with him in the paddock at Bookmore Park at the weekend. Here is the Rick Wong and Mike Hart debate over 13th place overall. The Class 2 driver new to the series this evening versus the well-established Class 1 driver in Mike Hart. Mike Hart will look to the outside here. Try and brake firmly on the racing line and go for it round the outside. Good room being given by both drivers there, and that's beautifully done. Beautifully done by both of them there. Good, respectful racing. Fair play by Rick Wong, having a defence. He doesn't have to jump out the way, but both drivers giving them each other racing room there. Mike Hart through up to 13th.
Yeah, I'm going to fair play to Rick Wong, as I say, on his debut. Conducting himself well out there, I think. Every time we've seen him. We're going to ignore that track limit violation we just saw then. On the whole, when he's going door. Yeah, exactly. When we're going door to door with other drivers out there, I think he's composing himself well.
Yeah.
And if the battle behind him gets anywhere near him, that's probably for the best, because we've got our debutant for the evening with a rather critical championship battle here behind him in Class 2.
Murray Adams, meanwhile, race leader. Still race leader, but only 0.2 of a second ahead of Chris Hansen now, and Chris Hansen's looking down the inside for the move. Murray Adams still will have the advantage for the next turn. Well defended there, just giving the space to Chris Hansen, but not too much space. Didn't allow his own line to be compromised. Keeps the race lead. Here's the fight involving Dawson and Cockram, and they're all getting a little bit close to one another there, with Sam Dimolo involved as well. In fact, it was Dimolo down the inside of Dawson there. Dawson took to the grass, straightened it up, lived to fight another day. Here comes David Whitehouse now.
For these drivers, Andrew, I'm afraid it just hasn't paid off. There's been too much infighting here, and you know, Michael Preston is 1.8 seconds off the back of Matthew. Let's just pan. There's Matthew Cockram. There's Michael Preston, and yeah, this is going to be. I think we'll see how they come out, but I think this is going to be quite costly for these drivers when they pit. I
would guess they are going to come out somewhere around Tom Kemping, James Fremont, because the gap, I think I saw there, between Dawson and Hale, 17 seconds.
So this is pitting
for the lead.
For either our top two. It is for the lead. He's got the job done very early here. No point waiting to brake for turn one. Chris Hansen's through and up into the lead once again.
Now, if you're Murray Adams, you've got a slipstream now. Use it. Save some more fuel. Go a little bit longer. It's got a good lead. Got to think of it in terms of C2 Championship. In reality, he's racing Matt Hale, and Matt Hale is some 37 seconds behind. Side by side between David Whitehouse and Michael Preston. Michael Preston doesn't need to worry about the C2 Championship. He's got other things on his mind here tonight, namely winning the round. Good defence from David Whitehouse, though. Keeps position. This is over 4th place on the road. In comes Andrew Dawson. I fear for Dawson that's a few laps too late. And he's overshot the box as well. Cameron Watson completes his pit stop. So this is the more conventional. You've gone over halfway, 10 laps to go. Get the fuel in, but where is Cameron Watson going to feed out here? Well, he's just going to feed out behind Mike Hart and ahead of Matt Hale. Yeah.
Indeed he is. As behind him, this battle goes on. As James Montgomery getting by Matthew Whitefoot. Whitefoot is wide, and that could leave him exposed to some of his classmates getting through. He returned onto the circuit, but wouldn't have been his favourite moment of the race, would it?
No, definitely not. Christopher Powell needs to find a way past Rick Wong. Rick Wong has not pitted yet. David Whitehouse and Tom Dix battling now. This is over 5th place. I think if you're these drivers at the front, I would try and get in the pits as soon as possible now, because now they're going to start losing time as the faster C1s pit, or the ones
Agreed.
that have pitted, start coming through.
Agreed, mate. Surely you've got to think about doing this now. You're getting the double whammy now of, I suppose you're running a light. You're running it light on fuel. You're getting the maximum out of that, I suppose. But you've lost the time battling, and you're now losing the time battling with more people coming through. Preston goes through on Dimolo.
So Michael Preston is now, I think, some 18 seconds behind Murray Adams.
Yeah. Here's an example, Andrew. Matthew Cockram emerges towards the back of the main pack here. You can see here on the driver tracker. Everyone behind him has had some form of drama, I'm afraid to say.
Yeah, just looking at where Andrew Dawson re-emerged in all of this as well, is in 19th place, has lost out to Kempink and Waller and Powell and Whitefoot. That is a real blow for his C2 Championship hopes. Here's James Montgomery, who has pitted, and it will have been for the damage repair, but it will have counted as the mandatory green flag pit stop also, because it was under green flag conditions and after lap 3. Now here's an interesting one, Howard. Sam Sanders right onto the tail of Nathan Maximin here.
Yeah, both of these are pitted. This is a valid, legitimate, bona fide battle for position, whatever you want to call it, but they don't owe us a pit stop, these two. Currently battling over 7th place. But there's still a few who need to pit from the top. It's only really Chris Hansen, Murray Adams, Sam Dimolo and David Whitehouse who are clinging on at the head of this as non-pitters.
26 seconds behind the race leader at the moment. So it's not guaranteed at the moment that this is an effective race for a podium, because Chris Hansen going long here could still re-emerge ahead of them. They similarly have got to work together.
Yeah, now, yes, and Chris Hansen and Murray Adams are the two interesting ones for me, because they haven't, to my mind, got overly caught out battling. And they've had a bit of an exchange, but by and large, they've kept the pace up here. These are the two whom I'm most interested to see how it works out for them when they emerge from their late stops.
Well, Hansen was quicker on the last tour of the circuit. The pace has been really good from Chris Hansen. He's just going to come over the line again. Yeah, again, another 132.2. Sanders, Maximin, Hicks, all of that group last time around were in the mid 132s. Could this be a bit of a sensational call from Chris Hansen in the Simply Catnip car? Of course, you can't see the Simply Catnip logos because Trading Paints isn't quite behaving this evening, but thank you very much to Simply Catnip and their continued support of the series. G3 Pro and Club 100 as well.
Sam Dimolo comes into the pits, so that's another one of our late pitting group. There he is.
Looking at pit lane time, Howard, just referring back to Alex Mitchell and the problems he had. Yeah, it was a slow pit time. 44. Sorry, no, I'm looking at the wrong column. 57 seconds is what he spent in the pit lane, as opposed to most of the others who are all in the 30-somethings, like 31, 32, 33 seconds. Really hasn't gone the way of Alex Mitchell. In fact, Alex Mitchell has retired from this race. Now, what we've got here, well, this is Tom Dix. I think Tom Dix is really trying to save fuel. I think one of the big reason why he got out ahead, his pit lane time was only 25 seconds. I think Tom Dix has massively short-filled and is trying to save fuel here.
So it's interesting, there was some discussion in the lobby chat, Andrew, about crew chief overestimating as Chris Hansen in the pits.
Yep, the race lead now. This is a crucial point of the race. This is a crucial point in not just the race, but the round and the C2 Championship, because Murray Adams is also in. Hearing that iRacing did a double load of fuel for Alex Mitchell. Chris Hansen is rolling. Where is he going to emerge, though?
David Whitehouse as well is elected to pit, Andrew, so...
I think Hansen and Adams were very close on pit exit there. So Chris Hansen is going to re-emerge just behind Steve Hicks. So he's going to re-emerge in 6th place. That was some good work from Sanders, Maximin and Hicks in the latter few laps to make sure they got that jump. Murray Adams, though, out in 7th place. Very nice position to be. He's currently 4 spots ahead of any other C2 driver.
Yeah, so there was some lobby chat, as I say, Andrew, about crew chief overestimating fuel. So I don't know if Dix has overcompensated for that or what, but this is, yeah, this is interesting, and it's giving it to Preston on a platter in some respects. He's 7.4 seconds to the good. That's not. I don't want to take away from his achievement. I'd say. Where's
He's 1.6 seconds off the pace of Michael Preston at the moment. There is David Whitehouse.
Yeah, now emerged from the pit lane. He's 2.5 seconds off the back of Andrew Dawson. So, yeah, I'd say that it's fair to say that Murray Adams and Chris Hansen have made it work the best for them. But yeah, it's that was definitely an interesting thing to see. As we're with Steve Hicks here, battling with Nathan Maximin. This is over 4th place.
This is a great battle. Oh, as Maximin gets all crossed up there. Gets it back under control. Tom Dix is playing a really, really clever game here. And his pace at the moment, 1:32.97 last time around. So still a long way off the pace, but he just seems to be able to use the performance of his Porsche in the right places on the long straights, save a lot of fuel in the infield, and just keep himself ahead of Sam Sanders.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I was going to try and see if we could go on board with him for a second then and see how he's driving it. But these two battling their 4th are giving me too much entertainment. We are on board with Tom Dix.
Trying to use higher gears. Deliberately not punching the car out of the corners. Yeah, short shifting up to 2nd gear and up to 3rd and up to 4th. That's a fuel saver. That is a big, big load of fuel saving by Tom Dix. And this is where he pushes. This is where he then revs it out, because he doesn't want to be a sitting duck with Sam Sanders behind. Very clever stuff from Dix there. You can just see he's not got as... now he's in. No, now he's in. So I think now it's come to the point where he had a go. It's not quite gone right. Well, it's a shame for Tom Dix. But I guess he's thought that he doesn't want to leave it too late if he needs to splash and dash. Get it in, get it done. Tried something different. You've got to give it to Tom Dix there at the end of the season. Why not? It's not quite panned out. Here's a battle. Key battle. Matthew Whitefoot and Christopher Powell. Powell, C2 Championship leader, trying to go around the outside. Could this be a big overtake in his championship bid? Whitefoot's still there on the inside. They're going to be very, very close indeed. Still side by side as they come off of turn number 3.
This is incredible stuff here between two of our key players in the Class 2 standings, heading towards Interlagos. It's Whitefoot on the inside, but Powell's going to have great drive off the corner up the hill towards the Ferraduras.
This is for 3rd place in C2 in this race, but more importantly, it's going to influence championship points. Still side by side between Powell and Whitefoot. And here comes Tom Kempink as well. But I think now, as Whitefoot gets out on the marbles there, it's Christopher Powell's position. He had to be brave there, but that could be very, very important.
Great exchange between the two drivers. So good to see the racing room being given. As Whitefoot, yeah, is having to think about Kempink now. Bear in mind, Kempink, with that incident earlier on with James Montgomery, so perhaps a little bit, but now with damage repaired as far as we're aware. So interesting to see how Kempink parries up with these two on pace. But yeah, what a brilliant exchange there, Andrew, between Whitefoot and Powell. That was brilliant stuff, and that's you know what we've come to expect in this championship by and large. The standard of racing these days, absolutely fantastic, and that was a treat to watch.
Tom Dix has re-emerged, is in 15th place. we'll have a look at the lap times as well. His best lap time at the moment is a 1:32.72, and we'll know if all of a sudden the pace drops for the number 27. We know that it was fuel that he was trying to save. Here is Ed Keithley and James Waller going side by side for 19th spot. And Waller holds on to the position.
It's going to be good drive off the corner for Keithley though, Andrew. This could be interesting. We don't see as many moves as one might expect looking at a track map into turn number 4, because the apex speed is so fast that it's actually not a massive braking zone. But Waller feeling the need to defend here. He'll skirt wide on exit. Again, this is where I ask the question, Andrew, of, how are the tyres between these two different GT3 cars? You and I have raced both of these cars in various endurance categories on iRacing, and definitely the way the tyres evolve, particularly on that Ferrari 488, can be quite. They can suddenly come alive, I found, in mid-stints. Oh, but Waller knowing how to position his car to deter a move for the time being.
New fastest lap of the race, Michael Preston, 1:35.53, back with the important battle in C2. 3 of our championship contenders here. Tom Kempink, the odd one out in that regard. He's 11th place down. And again, we're just looking at the pit lane times, how much time each of these drivers spent in the box. Powell, 33 seconds.
Sorry, Andrew. Tom Dix coming through as a disruptor here as well, right?
Yes.
He's got nothing to lose.
He has dropped the pace all of a sudden. He's done a 1:32.03. No need to fuel save anymore.
This could be interesting.
Andrew Dawson had a look there at Tom Kempink. Christopher Powell under pressure now. We've got 2 more laps for these drivers after they've completed this one. Tom Dix now, he's like, oh, how am I going to get through all of these? Because they're all trying to get towards the... It's be far worse to go aggressive here and not make the end of the race. Tom Kempink trying to get past Matthew Whitefoot there. Andrew Dawson waiting. Always a bit of a squirrely moment there for Kempink. Is Tom Dix going to have a run here on Andrew Dawson? Remember the point to keep. Oh, it's Chris Hansen's in. So Chris Hansen's in. He's not going to make it to the end on fuel. What has happened there? That is going to be important for the C2s, because that moves them all up by 1. Great scrap this. Kempink and Whitefoot side by side as they go down towards turn 1. Dix is to the inside of Dawson, 2 by 2 going through the centre S. Good opportunity this for Whitefoot. Oh, bit of contact there between Kempink and Whitefoot. Whitefoot was there, entitled to the space, takes the position. Tom Dix might have a run at Tom Kempink now as well. Kempink defends to the inside.
Not for the first time this race, Andrew, that Kempink's had a heart-in-the-mouth moment coming through turn 3.
Absolutely. Where's our race leader? Well, the race leader is in sector number 3 now. Tom Dix trying to recover here, get these positions back. Yeah, I'm a bit perplexed as to why Chris Hansen has come in for a second time. But there is your race leader, Michael Preston.
Andrew, he spoke of crew. He was one of the ones in the lobby chat talking about crew chief doing the fuel wrong. So again, I wonder if there's overcompensation here. Bearing in mind we have the safety car as well, which might have thrown a bit of confusion.
Yep.
So who knows what's happened with that? But there's definitely been some people caught out here.
Well, not Michael Preston. It's been one of the more straightforward evenings for Michael Preston in this championship as the midfield C2 battle rages on. Andrew Dawson now trying to find a way past Tom Kempink. May have an opportunity into turn 1. Need to be brave on the brakes though. He's having a think about it. He is going to be brave on the brakes. Is Kempink going to give him room? They do touch, and David Whitehouse is going to come into this as well. Oh, they touch again and again. David Whitehouse is going to sneak around the outside. Beautiful stuff from David Whitehouse. Takes Andrew Dawson, and as a result, Andrew Dawson now loses a point in the round. But Michael Preston coming into the latter stages now. Matt Hale and Chris Hansen fighting here as well.
This is looking great on my screen for Simply Catnip sponsorship, Andrew, but unfortunately yours it's not.
But Michael Preston is going to come over the finish line. He's going to take the race victory and take round 12 of the 2022 Club 100 and BUKC iRacing Championship. Takes a big step to securing second place in this year's championship. Sam Sanders finishes second in the race and second in the round. Steve Hicks is third in the race and third in the round. But this is a big one. Murray Adams, fourth overall, first in C2, and is going to gain a lot of points over his championship rivals. Nathan Maximan holds on to fifth place ahead of Mike Hart. Seventh is going to be Cameron Watson. Eighth for James Montgomery. Matt Hale will finish in ninth. A very good night for just how much by what was that? 3 thousandths of a second ahead of Chris Hansen. Christopher Powell does not secure C2 championship here tonight, but I think we'll be pretty pleased. More good points on the board, and I reckon he should still have the championship lead when we go to Suzuka in a month's time. Let's run through the rest of the order. Tom Dix tried something different on the fuel strategy, finished in 12th. 13th for Matthew Whitefoot. 14th for Tom Kempink. 15th for David Whitehouse in that race. 16th, Andrew Dawson. Good run for Sam Dimolo, finishes 17th ahead of some established drivers such as James Fremont, Ed Keefley, James Waller. That was your top 20. Matthew Cochran across the line there in 21st. And then 22nd for Alan Curtis and Rick Wong. 4 retirements: Alex Mitchell, Quintin Durad, Charlie Summers and Ian Sumner. Well, what a race that was, Howard. Dramatic at the start. Sum it up for us. I think that was, as you say, it had the potential to be one of the more interesting. I mean, they've all been interesting, but particularly with the way that grid was set out at the start. It was a good race, very good race, and that safety car mixed things up and made it tricky for the drivers on the strategy.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. It was really interesting to see for, you know, what is a 40-minute race, the different strategies with the pit stop. I think that gave the race a really interesting strategic complexion to it. And at the same time, you know, obviously the safety car as well, causing a few issues for people out there with fuel. I thought I was at the Daytona 24 Hours 2016 there, with GT cars running out of fuel on the. We don't quite have the banked oval here. There's a bit of banking towards the end of the lap, which might cause I don't know if iRacing simulates the fuel sloshing to one side of the tank, but yeah. And what was interesting was, in amongst all that strategic element to it, you still have some really good battles. You know, really good battles going on. Probably a little bit too much amongst that core group of 8 who elected to go long. You know, a little bit too much battling, held each other up. But hey, you know what? Murray Adams made that work well for him, as did Chris Hansen, but for the fuel issue that he later had. So fascinating race strategically. Impressive win for Michael Preston. Really interesting result in terms of Class 2. I think we could safely say it's not been decided tonight, and it's going to go on to the final round, which from a neutral perspective is great to see. We like a bit of championship spice going into the last round. But yeah, great race, mate. I found that one thoroughly entertaining.
Absolutely. We'll stick on the air until we get the results in, and we'll try and do some live spreadsheet of dooming. You know we like a good bit of spreadsheet fun here on the channel, to tell you what the situation is in C2. But yeah, I think you're right there, Howard. I don't see this one having been decided tonight, because no one has had a standout night across the rest of it. It's been very even, very close. There will, I think, pretty much everybody in that type of fight have improved their score. But yeah, a very good night's racing. As I say, we've got one more round to go, and a big thanks again as well. As I say, it's the winding down part of the season. Sunday was our last in full metal racing gig of the year, but we have got one more on the iRacing. So if you have enjoyed the content this year, do give us a follow at Double Dash across all your social media networks, and especially Instagram as well, as we're growing that out. Keep the comments coming in as well. Let us know who you thought did well tonight. And as I say, Astrid saying well done to Tom Kemping, first Belgian pilot in the race. Very good to see. And apologies again for Trading Paints having some issues tonight. Suzuka though, mate, we've been there before with the championship. If you're particularly old like me, that is the place to have a season finale. And
yes, that's true.
Looking forward to it.
That's true. That goes back even to I don't know. I quite like Brazil as a season finale, but I do recall, yes, Suzuka being the traditional season end when I first got into F1, mate, and it's gonna be an interesting one. You know, it's narrower than this circuit in a lot of places. Very technical first sector there, of course. I say very technical first sector. Feels like the whole lap it's quite a technical one. And then with that big, you know, back straight leading through 130R to the chicane, providing a great overtaking opportunity. So you can overtake there, but you got to be confident. You got to be on it. You know, the drivers are going to have to put in their practice around Suzuka. I always find it, even though it's a circuit much like Interlagos here that I've driven on various simulators for years. I don't know about you. I find with Suzuka, if I've not been driving there in a while, I'll come back to it and go, okay, you got to get your head down here, Howard, and get on the pace again, because it falls away. Maybe that's just me, but it's that technical twisty first sector. You know, you got to feel that the car's hooked up as well. You know, have the confidence there. It's an awful circuit to have if you don't feel you've got a good car under you. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. As you say, mate, the traditional. We're finishing off. I'm passing no particular comment on no particular series, but to my mind, we're finishing off with the right tracks here for a traditional season end. So I'm looking forward to that.
The round result is in, Howard. It's on the org chat. Would you mind doing the honours whilst I pop some numbers in a spreadsheet?
Which way do we go? Do we go from the back?
Oh, it's got to be from the bottom up. Full JV.
Indeed. So yes, indeed. 27th tonight was Charlie Summers. That was on 146. Then it was Ian Sumner next in 26th place. Rick Wong finishes his debut round in 25th, but I have to say, I thought from what we saw, his conduct on track, he gave good racing room there, and I think, yeah, it's going to be great to see how he develops. Very much looking forward to welcoming him back again. Hope you enjoyed it. Alan Curtis in 24th, Sam Dimolo in 23rd. We saw a bit of drama for him, particularly in that first race, but you know, he tried doing the late pit stop strategy in race 2. Quintin Durad, with issues in that second race, was real entertainment in that first race. Finishes 22nd, that's on 159. In fact, we've got 3 drivers tied on 159. 159 also for Matthew Cockram, another driver who went long in that second race, and a bit of drama for him as well. James Waller with the 159 as well in 20th place, winning that countback versus Cockram and Durad. There's James Fremont, 163 points in 19th place, behind David Whitehouse, who finishes 18th, also with 163. It's then in 17th place we find Tom Kemping on 168 points. Strong pace this evening, Andrew, but 1 or 2 dramas in that second race for Tom. But on the flip side, it sounds from what you're telling me like half the field have been sporting his livery this evening, so there's something. It's Keith Lee on 171 in 16th place. So That's where we find him. And actually, there's a three-way tie on 171. Andrew Dawson in 15th place, and Alex Mitchell in 14th place on 171 as well. Then we get to Matthew Whitefoot, getting into several of our Class 2 drivers who we're interested in here. 172 points sees Matthew 13th place. Christopher Powell, points leader, based on the best 9 results coming into in Class 2, finishes 12th on 175, and that bags him, if I'm not much mistaken, that bags him third on the Class 2 podium. So in the top 3 of the Class 2 for Christopher tonight. Tom Dix in 11th place on 176 points, and then we find second in Class 2 Murray Adams, 179 points there in 10th place. He finishes second of the Class 2 runners, and then winning Class 2 for tonight, 9th place overall with 180 points is Matt Hale, who finishes there in that Simply Catnip car, finishes 9th place overall, but highest of the Class 2 runners, and that rounds out your Class 2 podium. Then it's Chris Hansen in 8th place. Might have been a case of what might have been with regards to fuel woes tonight, but 182 points seems him finish 8th overall. Cameron Watson on 184 points finishes 7th. James Montgomery, 185 points sees him finish 6th. And then it's with 189 points that we find Nathan Maximin in the 5th place spot for this evening's racing. Mike Hart, 190 points in 4th place, just missing out on the podium. Then we get to our overall podium and indeed our Class 1 podium for the round. Steve Hicks on 194 points in 3rd, and then 4 points ahead of him, 198, is Sam Sanders in 2nd place, but winning the round very convincingly with the double win, the 202 points, is Michael J. Preston. And Andrew, that puts him in the pound seats for taking that 2nd place in the championship as well, which is another, well, the battle that we're focused on at the top end of Class 1 with the championship, as a reminder for everybody, already being wrapped up by Josh Ladd not competing this evening. So it's congratulations to Matt Hale for winning in Class 2, and congratulations to Michael Preston for a very well constructed couple of race wins to win the round overall.
Indeed. Right, this is strictly provisional and unofficial, ladies and gentlemen, but I have just banged those results into the spreadsheet that we have. So this will all be confirmed by the league admin in due course. But here is your championship standings as we go in towards the final round. Josh Ladd leads the championship. You knew that. He's already got the championship wrapped up. 892 points. And whilst Michael Preston could still equal that, he cannot beat Josh Ladd on countback. So Josh Ladd, as we say, is already champion. Big night for Michael Preston. By our calculations, Michael Preston has secured 2nd in the championship. He sits on 886. The max possible score for Sam Sanders is 885. Having said that, Sam Sanders has also secured his position of 3rd in the championship. 879 points of the best 9. Nobody else can beat that score. Still a battle raging on for 4th place, though. James Montgomery currently holds it on 856. Charlie Summers can still beat that tally, though, is on 849. Same story for Steve Hicks on 845. And the same story as well for Mike Hart on 840. Mathematically, all of those drivers can still finish in 4th place. I'm just gonna do this again. Something very strange has happened with the numbers here. Hixie, what is happening with these numbers? I know what's happened here. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Right, now I fixed it. So that takes us down to 7th place. Cameron Watson is 8th in the points on 830. Could still gain a number of positions with a good round at Suzuka. 9th place is Chris Hansen on 830. And then we find Alex Mitchell in 10th. Let's get on to C2, because this is where things are still to be decided. 11th overall in the points and leading in C2 is Christopher Powell. He still has the championship lead on 804. The lead is now 6 points. Tom Dix sits in the middle of all of this, so we'll just slightly ignore him for now. Sorry, Tom. But it's 6 points, a lead over Murray Adams. That was a big move from Murray Adams at the end of that race with that race 2 performance. So he is now second, provisionally, in the points in C2 on 798 with a max possible 819. Has got some drop scores that can still be used and improved on that best 9 that he's got. Andrew Dawson, Matt Hale is in third on 797, but doesn't have as much wiggle room. Actually, no, what am I talking about? He does have more wiggle room, so Matt Hale very much still in it. Andrew Dawson is in, I think we will say, the Dickie Allen position. Could still mathematically win in C2, but hasn't got a lot of wiggle room. 791 is his current score, a max possible 807 is there in fourth. Matthew Whitefoot is next, 790, so currently stands in fifth, but again, has room for improvement. Could get as high as 816, so he's definitely in the fight. Unfortunately, though, James Fremont is out. 771 is his score, 6th in C2 at the moment, but only a max possible 788, so mathematically cannot overhaul. Howard, we are down. If I say down, it's still a quite high number of drivers who mathematically could win C2 at the last round in Suzuka, but we are down to 5. Powell, Adams, Hale, Dawson and Whitefoot.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. It's and then going to Suzuka, I mean, as I said earlier, from a neutral perspective, you want it to go down to the wire. How about going down to the wire between 5 drivers who have been driving really well? Obviously, evidentially so, but they've been driving really well. They've been battling so much just tonight, just into today's racing. So, mate, Suzuka's going to be fantastic. Looking forward to it. Bearing in mind all those drivers get scored together as well, by the way. So it's not just about how they finish relative to each other, but relative to everybody else as well. So really fascinating stuff to come in Suzuka, and please don't ask me to pick one because that's a tough old call at the moment. Albeit Christopher Powell in the best position that he can be, but it's going to be great to see that come to fruition in Suzuka. Really looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, the 15th of December, Thursday the 15th of December, will be when we have the final round from Suzuka. We do hope you can join us for that here on the Double Dash Motorsport Media YouTube channel. That, I'm afraid, is all we've got time for here tonight from a virtual Interlagos. Thank you for joining us here on the channel. If you have enjoyed and you haven't already, do click that subscribe button, the like button and the notification bell as well. My name's been Andrew Mather, he's been Howard Mitchell, we've been Double Dash Motorsport Media. Enjoy the rest of your evening and the rest of your week. We'll see you next time for the final round of the 2022 Club 100 and BUKC iRacing Championship on the 15th of December. But for tonight, bye-bye.